Or Episode 7, Ghosts and Relics. The campus of Liberty Spire buzzed with midday life. Students spilling from lecture halls, holodrones drifting lazily over manicured lawns, their blue optics glinting in the sun. Kane Voss lingered in the shadows of a stone archway, his hood low. The relay core, a heavy secret strapped tight against his spine. The weight of Sadie's lecture still clung to him. Her voice, her fire, the impossible city she'd painted in light. Atlantis. The word felt like a hook in his gut, tugging him toward her, toward answers he didn't yet have words for. He'd slipped out of the Hall of Ancients an hour ago, trailing her at a distance as she moved across campus, coffee in hand, chatting with a colleague, her laugh cutting through the chatter like a blade. She was close now, striding alone toward a faculty building, her chestnut hair catching the light. Kane's pulse kicked up, a mix of nerves and something softer he didn't want to name. 10 years since he'd last stood this close to her. 10 years since he'd burned what they had to ash. He didn't know if she'd listen, let alone help. But the core was a ticking clock, and Nix's blood was still fresh in his mind. He needed her brain, her fight, maybe her forgiveness, though he wouldn't dare ask. Steeling himself, he slipped into step behind her, closing the gap as she reached a shaded courtyard, its benches empty under a sprawl of bioengineered ivy. "Hey, Professor," he called, pitching his voice light, teasing, like they were kids again. "Forgot to turn in my term paper. Can I get an extension?" Sadie froze mid-step, her shoulders tensing, boots scuffing the stone path. She turned slowly, and Kane felt the air shift. Her dark eyes locked on him, sharp as a sniper's scope, cutting through the years like they were nothing. Her face was a storm, high cheekbones taut, lips pressed thin, those eyes blazing with a fury that didn't quite hide the flicker of something else. Shock, maybe, or a ghost of the ache he carried. She stood straighter, all 5'7" of her, radiating a presence that made the courtyard feel smaller. Her tailored jacket was open, her hands free, like she was half ready to throw a punch. "Kane Voss," she said, her voice low, edged with Freeland's drawl, but cold enough to frost the air. "You've got some nerve showing up like this. What is it? 10 years? Not a word. And now you're cracking jokes like we're pals?" He raised his hands, palms out, the grin he'd hoped would soften her fading fast. "Sadie, Don't Sadie me," she snapped, stepping closer, her finger jabbing the air an inch from his chest. "You don't get to stroll in here, all smirks and swagger, like you didn't leave me standing in the dust. I should call Libra's drones right now, let them sort out whatever trouble you're dragging behind you." Her words hit like a shock knife, clean and deep, but Kane caught the tremor in her jaw, the way her gaze lingered a beat, too long. She was pissed. Yeah, but there was something else. Buried, raw, a spark of the girl who'd once traced his scars under starlight. He lowered his hands, voice softening. "I'm not here to mess with you, Sadie. I'm in deep, and I need to talk. Somewhere private. 5 minutes, that's all I'm asking." She studied him, eyes narrowing, searching for the lie. The courtyard stayed quiet. No drones, no eavesdroppers, just the faint sounds of distant campus life. Finally, she exhaled, sharp and grudging. "You've got 3 minutes, and only because I'm curious what kind of mess you've stepped in this time. My office. Move." She turned on her heel, striding toward the faculty building, not checking if he followed. Kane fell in step, keeping his hood up, scanning the paths for tails. His gut told him they were clear, but the core felt heavier with every step, like it knew where they were headed. Sadie didn't speak, her silence a wall he didn't dare breach. Not yet. Her office was on the 3rd floor, a corner room tucked behind a maze of corridors lined with hollow posters of ancient ruins. She swiped a keycard, the door hissing open, and waved him in with a look that said he was on thin ice. The space was pure Sadie, organized chaos, shelves crammed with datapads, fossil fragments, and chunks of weathered stone etched with glyphs. A hollow desk glowed in the center, projecting a 3D scan of some underwater structure, its contours sharp and alien. One wall held a real window, a rarity, looking out on Beacon Verge's spires. She shut the door, locked it, and crossed her arms, leaning against the desk. "Talk," she said, her tone flat but her eyes alive, taking him in. His worn jacket, the scar on his cheek, the weight he carried in his stance. "And don't waste my time with half-truths, Kane. What's chasing you?" He hesitated, then shrugged off his pack, setting it on the floor with care. "It's not just what's chasing me. It's what I found." He reached in, pulling out the core, its crystalline surface catching the light. Blues and violets swirling inside, pulsing like a trapped star. It vibrated faintly, a low throb that seemed to electrify the air. He held it up, watching her face. Sadie's breath caught, her arms dropping as she stepped closer, drawn like a moth to flame. "What is that?" she murmured, her voice losing its edge, replaced by a hunger Kane recognized, her mind already racing, picking apart the puzzle. She reached out, then stopped, glancing at him. "Can I?" He nodded, passing it to her, their fingers brushing for a split second, enough to jolt him with a memory of nights long gone. The core died the moment it left his hand, its glow fading to a dull gray, like a fire snuffed out. Sadie frowned, turning it over in her hands, her touch careful but firm, like she was handling a bomb or a relic. Which it was, maybe both. "It's extraordinary," she said, her voice soft, almost reverent. "The material, some kind of crystalline alloy, but nothing I've seen. Not Nova Reach tech, not even pre-war. The design's too organic, too intentional. Look at these facets, fractal, layered, like they're meant to channel something." She traced a finger along its edge, her eyes alight. "It's superior, Kane. Beyond anything the ASIs could dream up. Where did you get this?" He didn't answer right away, watching as she tilted it toward the light, her frustration growing as it stayed inert. "Try giving it back," he said finally, holding out his hand. She shot him a skeptical look but handed it over, her fingers lingering a moment longer than needed. The second it touched his palm, the core flared to life. Colors swirling, noises rising, a pulse that seemed to sync with his own. Sadie's eyes widened, her lips parting as she stepped back, mind clearly spinning. "That's not normal," she said, half to herself. "It's keyed to you somehow. Bioresonant, maybe, or something we don't have a name for." She paced a tight circle, hands gesturing as her thoughts tumbled out. "I've read about devices like this, not exactly, but close. Old texts, pre-flood, buried in classified archives. Stories of a civilization, advanced, global, gone before we crawled out of caves. They had tech that wasn't just machines, it was alive, tied to intent, to consciousness. If this is one of theirs..." She stopped, fixing him with a look that was half awe, half accusation. "Kane, what the hell have you stumbled into?" He set the core on her desk, its glow casting shadows across the holoscan. "Trouble," he admitted, voice low. "Found it in a relay tower, Neon Swamps. Job was supposed to be clean. 2,000 Toshi coins, in and out. But it went sideways. My fixer's dead, torn apart, and whoever did, it's coming for me. For this." He tapped the core, its buzzing steady now, like it was listening. "I didn't know what it was, Sadie. Not till I heard you today. Atlantis, lost tech, all of it. You're the only one I trust to crack this." Her jaw tightened, and for a moment, the past hung between them. His leaving, her hurt, the nights he'd never apologized for. But her eyes stayed on the core, its light reflecting in her gaze. "You don't get to just show up with this," she said, quieter now, the anger ebbing into something heavier. But damn it, Kane. You know I can't walk away from something like this. Not when it might be the key to everything I've been chasing. She moved to the holodesk, swiping away the underwater scan to pull up a new file, a grainy image of a tablet, its surface carved with glyphs that echoed the core's patterns. This is from a dig off the Azores, 2 years back, she said. Mentions a heart of light, a device that powered their cities or their weapons. It's vague, but the description fits. If this is what I think it is, it's not just a relic. It's a lever, something that could change everything. Kane leaned closer, the desk's glow warm between them. Change how? She met his eyes, her voice steady but laced with something like fear. Their civilization didn't just fall, Kane. It burned. Whatever this does, someone, something, wanted it gone. And now you've brought it back. The room felt smaller, the core's hum louder, a pulse that seemed to echo in their bones. Kane saw the girl he'd loved in her face, but also the woman she'd become. Brilliant, fierce, and neck-deep in the same storm he'd dragged her into. For the first time in years, he didn't feel alone, and that scared him more than the shadows closing in.